Good morning, everyone. Thank you for making each morning such a beautiful shared experience. Today is broadcast 600, and that is something to celebrate. We started this experiment thinking it would be a few mornings, 2 weeks or so, we thought, of a pick-me-up for the New York Jewish community once something called the pandemic was beginning. And yet, what we created transcended all expectations, defied any of the hopes and dreams that we could have set in place for an online organic community on Facebook Live. The fact that we became a global community has been an extraordinary experience. Thank you to all of you for creating this community. It is the most steady minyan I think any of us have really experienced. To go through 2.5 years knowing exactly who will be here, that there is love in the air between the zeros and ones that make up a digital platform. And so I mark this moment with all of you with a grateful Shechianu. Every arrival is a real one. So friends, I know that our origin story is a complicated one, but Mazel Tov on creating a sacred, real community, friends. Now, this moment on the Jewish calendar is a complicated one. We are in the middle of what's called the 9 days. It's a fairly intense period of decreased joy. Instead of saying mourning, mourning, it is also a period of time where we mark the loss of the temples in Jerusalem. The 9th day of the month of Av, which we're counting towards, it begins Saturday night, is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar, along with Yom HaShoah v'Hagvura, Holocaust Memorial Day. On Tisha B'Av, we mark the loss of both the first Jerusalem temple in 586 BCE, the second Jerusalem temple, both in Hebrew called the Beit HaMikdash, in 70 CE. We also mark other tragedies, including the expulsion from Spain, the edict of the expulsion of Jews from England, which more people forget, and the fall of Beitar, which is the end of Jewish self-determination in the land of Israel under the Roman occupation. All of those make Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av, a very intense and sad day. The 9 days that lead up to Av are considered preliminary mourning days. And some people even observe starting 3 weeks before Tisha B'Av, and they change their practices. No live music, and some people even have the tradition for the 9 days to not wear clean clothing, which there are some sources for why to do that. What they end up doing is they put on each piece of clothing they own before the 9 days begin so that they can say it isn't entirely clean. What I mean to say is that there's a mindful way of entering into this period of mourning, but it becomes strange once we realize, if you've ever stood in Jerusalem on the 9th of Av, where liturgically we recite the Book of Lamentations and we talk about how courtyards are empty and no children dance and play. But if you're standing in Jerusalem, as I have done on Tisha B'Av, in playgrounds, seeing Arab children and Jewish children play together, it's incongruous to match the liturgical memory with the current moment. So what I wanted to point to today was that strangeness, the gift of a reborn Jewish determination, Jewish homeland, and all the work it requires, and the strangeness of mourning its absence, which we're blessed not to experience. It might be that we are called to reflect on our history in order to never take for granted our current moment and to continue the work of rebuilding our people's home, making sure that it both is physically safe and morally sound. That matches this week's Torah portion because we're about to read the first section of the book of Devarim. We're beginning a new book of the Torah this week. Devarim is Deuteronomy. And interestingly enough, Devarim means words. And Deuteronomy means second telling. Deutero, right, means second. Nomos means telling or words. And it is understood by many traditional commentators and critical scholars alike to point to the theme, which is Moses saying goodbye. The book begins, and we are already on the brink, on the cusp of entering into the promised land, but Moshe will not make it with us. That is incredibly sad. to work your entire life towards a vision and to be just on the edge of it being realized. Yet we know that had Moses been permitted to enter into the land, he wouldn't have seen his dreams realized, not immediately, nor even after all these thousands of years and countless evolutions of our people's identity. Can we consider the goal accomplished? The promised land is full of promise, and we are still working on it. That's what it is to be human, and not to accept the way things are. A Jewish mindset looks at the world as it is, knowing it could be just a bit better, and therefore must be. So I want to share this moment with you, and this moment with all of us, as a recognition that during the 9 days, we've already lived so much history. But similar to what Moses does during the final book of the Torah, now is our chance to reflect upon it and bless the future with our perspective. So let me leave you for today with a question, and we'll explore this during the week together. What do you aspire to for the future? What do you hope will be the future for those who come after you, who enter into the next stage of human history with all the work that we have done to get this far? We stand on the shoulders of both giants and normal-sized people. Looking back is one way of telling history. Envisioning a future and doing everything we can to set up our descendants for success is another. History has not yet been written for them. And history, given that we are alive, is not actually written for us. But we do have a sense of where we've come from. These 9 days that we are now in the middle of force us, in a way that we probably wouldn't choose, to look back at our own very complicated and sometimes torturous history. In order for us to make real the vow to not relive the darkest moments of our history, we have to remember it well, which is one of the gifts of liturgy, of tradition. Every year we re-enter this mindset, and perhaps it's there to make us fight even more fiercely for a better tomorrow for those who will come next. So friends, I bless you to take a breath and let that in, to realize your capacity to make tomorrow better both for yourself and for others, and then to feel the same way tomorrow, where we'll be blessed to meet again, taking a breath and making life a blessing. Here we go. Let's sing our way into a good day, friends. Bless you all, friends. See you tomorrow.